Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Vanessa Wagner, and I serve as the Director of Business Development and Strategic Programs at the Golden Isles Development Authority. This morning, I was flattered when Skip asked me to MC to shake things up a little bit, and so thank you. I'm not shoes to fill up here. Now, I will say I wasn't nervous at all coming in, being a new person to this community, because I know that most people are accepting of change, so long as nothing's different and everything stays the same. So, while I'm new here to this 1 Million Cup stage, I'm not new to 1 Million Cups. I was an organizer back in Loudoun County, Virginia, and that's really what's special about 1 Million Cups, is that we have over 190 communities across the country doing this right now. So we are excited to be here today, and we have two great presenters. We all have a job here today, though. So for feels so weird holding a mic. So for those that, and I have to be in here, right? All right. So for those that are here in the audience, you have a job. You are to think of questions to ask our presenters and feedback to give. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speakers. We have Art and Terri, who are going to be with the Bird Defenders. Warm 1 Million Cups welcome.
Thank you, Vanessa. That was a great introduction. Thank you all for letting us be here to 1 Million Cups. We're new to the area. We just moved from North Carolina to Brunswick. And like she said, I'm Terri Myrberg. This is my husband, Art Myrberg. He is the creator and inventor of the Defender bird feeder, the one and only 100% squirrel-proof bird feeder that's going to be on the market soon. So he's spent a lot of years developing and designing this product. I'm still nervous, trying to get the butterflies out. But we're going to get this on the market as soon as we can, and it's amazing. So he can tell you a little bit about the history.
Yeah, the history of this is it's kind of a long time ago. My mother used to watch birds, and she loved it at her house in North Carolina. She found that I went up there because she was feeling ill, and there were no bird feeders anywhere. So I said, well, let me take care of this. Let me get you some bird feeders. So I went and bought bird feeder after bird feeder.
All claim to be squirrel-proof.
Yes, and they all failed. Some failed in 2 days, some in 3 days, and all of a sudden I'm sitting there going, okay, wait a second. I mean, I've spent enough money. There's got to be a way to beat this squirrel. I mean, it sounds simple, but amazingly, God has made an animal that is unbelievably agile, can hang by the finest little nail. So after about, 20 to 30 prototypes that I failed. My dad was a scientist, so I had a little background in there. So I kept trying and changing it, and after about 20 to 30 of them of complete failure, this succeeded. And I used math and science. I don't want to get into the weeds of that. But I, all of a sudden, at the same time, I said, you know what, let me make it a little prettier. So I put a plant on top of it. The birds came out of everywhere. Birds that don't even hit a bird feeder come out because there's a relationship between plants and birds. They eat. So they also are protected with the way it's designed. This is a picture of it. There's 3 of them up there. We would have the prototype, except it's being used in a marketing production right now because we can't make the final product at this point. We'll get into that. So that's a long story of how it was developed. So at the same time, I started making them because neighbors wanted them. A young lady came up that used to help my mother, and she says, you know what? Why don't you patent that? I said, wow, patent it. It's just a bird feeder. I went and I got an attorney. Of course, you go through the whole process, and it took about 2.5 years to get it through the patent process, but it finally got patented. So it can be made by anybody else. And if you change any of this, which is part of the design, is that it will fail. So luckily I got the patent, and we have Defender Bird Feeder LLC, which is our company that will produce it and market it. Now the wonderful thing about this bird feeder is that it also not only is 100% squirrel-proof, and I mean 100%. It's never failed in almost 9 years in multiple states, no matter how big the squirrel is, okay? And it attracts birds. Also another wonderful thing is that blue jays. You gotta love birds or like birds to understand that blue jays will attack bird feeders and they'll empty them. Big birds won't go to this, so you get all the smaller birds. A mockingbird is probably as big as you'll get on this feeder, which also is nice. So now, it's important to have birds in your yard. You don't realize how important it is to have them because they grow flowers, trees, your gardens will grow, your grass. They eat thousands of insects, so it's good to have birds around, just for the heck of it. All right, now the dome also, the way it's designed, protects all your bird seed from snow, rain, sleet. It works up to 170 mile an hour winds if it's connected right
70 miles.
70, yeah, 70 sorry, I still got butterflies too.
Here comes a hurricane.
It's been tested up to 70 mile an hour winds. And it will because it's aerodynamic. It'll just go like this. So you don't lose the seed like everybody else does. All right, so it's easy to clean. It's made, my mother, because of her, I don't want to go into my mother, she had a hard time, so she could only use one arm. All right, so she was able to walk out there with assistance and take it off with one hand. It was very important to make this simple to take. Some of these bird feeders, you got 50 parts. You know, you're unscrewing this, it falls over, you're leaning this. I wanted to make it so simple that you just screw it on and screw it off. The engineer that we have that makes our mold, that designed our mold, made this thread to where it's only got, it goes on and it locks in place. It's not patented, the threads, but it makes it easy to come off. Then you can wash it and you're done. You hang it back up and go. So that's one of the parts that was designed also. It has to be friendly. It's also, it's got no carbon footprint because it is totally recyclable. If you ever need to recycle, it should never fail on you because it's also made of Lexan.
It's a hard plastic, that's what car lenses or headlights are made out of, so it's virtually indestructible.
Which is very important because my engineer was a little upset saying, you know, Art, you're making something that people aren't going to go out and buy another one because it's going to break. No, we want quality. If you buy one, it's forever. Because basically when you look at it, a lot of bird feeders fall apart and break. It's estimated that just in this year, we're going to have almost 1 million bird feeders put into a landfill. I want that stopped. So it's environmentally friendly too. Plus, if you put the plant in it, a green plant, a live plant, it even works with imitation plants. So during the winter, you got lousy colors outside. Out here it's beautiful, but in multiple states, it's brown, gray, and dark. You can put imitation flowers on it. The birds come out of everywhere to it. So you've got a beautiful feeder out there, so it's all year around. It'll handle cold weather, hot weather, and then you put in flowering plants or you put in ferns just to make your bird feeder beautiful. Because this is designed to be a bird feeder, meaning attracting birds. Most bird feeders aren't made to attract birds. There's no engineering to it. You just put up a piece of plastic, put some feed in it, and that's how the industry has done it in the past. We're actually out there to bring birds to your home and protect from squirrels. Go ahead.
So after all that, you're probably thinking, or you're probably asking, when can I get a hold of this? How can I get a hold of 5 of these for my mother-in-law, father-in-law, you know? The thing is, it's not on the market yet, and we have everything lined up, everything ready to go. The manufacturing, the packaging, we've got the molds designed, created, engineered basically. The thing is, it costs a lot to get the steel molds made. And so we are in the process of 2 different funding sources. One is you guys might have heard of Kickstarter. We're working with a local company called 365 Total Marketing out of St. Simon, and they're putting together a Kickstarter video for us. So that Kickstarter campaign is going to be launched, I think, in 2 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks.
We don't have the prototype with us today because they're actually filming with it. They're in the process this week of doing that. And go ahead.
Yeah. Well, part of the, we have also in line is we have Home Depot, Lowe's, QVC. We have small retail stores that want it. So we have a market and a development a department for this. So we're ready to go, but we do have that one dilemma is that the molds are, and we want to keep everything in the United States. We need people to work here. All right, that's one of the big things we also want.
Actually here in Brunswick.
Yes, in Brunswick. We'd love to have, we found this area, we fell in love with it because it's up and coming. There's a lot of places that we want to possibly put in shipping and distribute. Yeah, sorry about it. Distribute the product to all these locations. And this would be a great area for it. So we want to bring up, bring jobs to the community as well as a lot of other places. So
The royalty program?
Oh, yes. Now, let me give a little, there's some people asking about what Kickstarter is. If people don't know in the audience or whatever, Kickstarter is where you have something, an idea, and they have a platform that you can put your idea on it or your product and get people to come in and say, you know what, I want one of these. It may be a little bit in the future, but with the description of the product or your idea, the people will buy it at a less price to finance your system, your idea or your product. That's what Kickstarter is all about. It reaches millions of people. And with the right people behind you, meaning your marketing team or whoever else, have to bring in, what is it, Skylar? What's the? Highline is Gavin. He's our website maker, the designer and marketer. And he's going to push people to Kickstarter, which helps you, if anybody in the audience didn't know about Kickstarter. I got to punch our website is thebestbirdfeeder.com, by the way. Okay, you got to push that. And you can read about a little more about the history and if you want to know more about the product. What have I forgotten? Oh, okay. We also have go ahead, tell them about the royalty program.
Oh, okay. So far, the royalty program's only been offered to friends and family. But if you actually put in right now about $10,000, you would get a 10 cent.
Yeah, it's more or less every time we sell.
Per feeder sold.
Yeah.
Yes. And so you wind up getting your money back. There's, let's see, $2.2 billion spent annually on in the bird industry. And so if you take
in 1 year, that's 2.2
yes.
billion spent for bird feeders and bird feed. So we've got the market.
If you take 1% of that, I don't know if there's any math majors out there, but 1% of that is 2.2 million. And so if we took 1% of that market,
yes, but it's
a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah, we're it's also our product. What's good about our product is we guarantee it. So in other words, we should do very well only because if it for some reason it won't, but we guarantee the product. So we can always send it back to us if it didn't work for it or you didn't like it. So that's something else. Okay. I think that's it. Okay.
All right. Well, then, thank you so much.
Okay. Just as we wanted to know. Let me go ahead and bring this up. This is a quote. Okay. This is a quote. Just to let you know from someone that's in the field that said there is no bird feeders as of now that are 100% squirrel proof. So that's more or less.
So we're going to send them one.
Yeah, what is it? And we've already emailed. So okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
All right, now in my last community, the one question we always ask our entrepreneurs can we do for you today? Do you have an ask of the audience before we get to questions?
Oh, I don't think we kind of covered, I
We can
guess.
start orders, I mean, if you want to.
Yes, that's always good, yes.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, we'll take any suggestions that we may not have covered, or questions about the product, or we will eventually get to the Chamber of Commerce and people in the community to help us find locations, to market it in the area. So, yeah, if there's, anybody got any questions?
All right,
Yeah,
Rowan's
I have
happy.
one. What price range are they gonna be?
Oh, right now we're looking in the, anywhere from, for the retail, because of Home Depot and other, probably in the $39.95 to, we're trying to get it to the, based on shipping. That's the problem we have right now, because things are changing so much. $39.95 to probably, the highest would be $59, all right? But we're trying to, the average bird feeder right now is $48, all right? Some go to $200, but we're trying to make it affordable to everyone. That's one of the things that I'd love to do, we'd like to do because of that reason, but shipping is the big problem.
All right, I've got another question here.
Sure.
Can you give us an idea of the dimensions and also the capacity you think can hold?
Yeah, go ahead.
The first prototype that we got, this was a 1 gallon, this held a 1 gallon pot. Then we just recently had a mini made, which was 13% smaller. So this is just a little bit smaller than a 1 gallon feeder. You know, the 1 gallon pots, the plants that you put in, it's just that size, so it just, the plants just fit right on top.
So the top is
But
1
it's-
gallon? Just the top of it is? Or the whole feeder?
The bottom goes all the way down, so a 1 gallon pot would fit in.
Yeah, that's, you're talking to
All right,
microphone.
now, in the dimensions, the outside dimensions of the dome is 13 inches round. Oh,
Right.
the outside dimensions is 13 inches round. The whole together, it's about, let's see, in the box, it's probably about 8.5 inches by 13 inches. It holds, now with the planter on top, because it packs so nicely, the probably totally maybe 13 by 13, and it holds about 2.5 to 3 cups of seed. All right, so if that's the question. Yeah, just probably a little bit more. We will supply a metal hanger for it, but you can put whatever hanger you want on it. And there is one restriction to this to be squirrel proof, which I think is evident, but it has to be hung at least 18 inches from the side of this dome. From the side edge, it has to, from any squirrel, from a surface that they can walk on. But from top, bottom, as long as there's 18 inches from the side of it, it's squirrel proof. Now, you know, so that's the one restriction. Any other?
What have been your biggest hurdles? It sounds like it's been quite the adventure to get to this
Oh.
point.
Yeah, well, in the patent process, it's a matter of just, they fine tune everything. I mean, there's so many bird feeders that have been patented. Just redoing documentation, getting with your attorney. I say to anybody out there, if they've got a great idea, and they believe in themselves, that's important, you gotta keep fighting. Don't give up, because it's so easy to give up when you've got fees and attorneys and government paperwork. I mean, it's all needed. I'm not saying it isn't. And then when you get done with the product, you've got to have passion in your product or your idea to get other people to listen to you, to understand how important your idea or your product is. And then you have to talk to a lot of people in manufacturing, which is another hurdle, because there's so many companies out there at this point that are manufacturing a lot of, they want to manufacture things that win, are already in the market. So to get your product to someone that'll bid the price or tell you what it will cost, that is another hurdle. Believing in yourself, that's, and we do. She's great at saying, hey, don't give up. Yes.
How much do you have invested in the project so far?
It's been over the course of 9 years.
Yeah, I'd say
Recently,
I'm over $130,000 in myself, but that's over time. And like I said, that's tough too, but I know it'll pan out. And I say pan out. Our prime objective is to make a living, but I want to help people. I want to help people in business. I mean, that is something that makes you feel good. So this is the push of what I want to do. We want to do is that, yes, we'll make a living, but we can take this, and there's a lot of people like us that need help. And big companies and banks, I understand how finances work and collateral. If somebody feels passion, I'd love to say, here's a start. Stay with what you want to do, because that's how you feel good about yourself. So we want to give back. We really do. That's our prime objective, to give back.
I did have a question about, since we're on the topic of funding, when you talked about Kickstarter, my understanding is it's helpful to have a database or already have some folks that are interested. Is the marketing firm helping you with that, or is that something you can talk about how you've built out sort of those fans already?
Well, I guess first we went out and we went for 2 days and just talked to people, small mom and pop shops. And they said, oh yes, I want 10, I want 20. So we knew that was there. And then you have to go to someone that knows technology, because you have to get a marketing person, because there's so many avenues. And I'm sorry to say, there is what you call data mining. Whenever you get on a website or you get on your phone, you're tagging yourself. Again, that's the way it is. So yeah, you have to get a professional to help you with that part of it, because there's lots of ways to get up, and there's a lot of interest, but they have to find those people, because there's so many things on the market. You want to tell them about it. But yes, hiring someone knows what they're doing.
Highline Leads is the name of the company that we use from Jacksonville. And Gavin Taylor, he's explained how he's going to put the Kickstarter together and market it. But we're putting a lot in his hands, but he's guaranteed that he's going to get the product out there and do a good job.
Have you guys reached out to Wild Birds Unlimited, their
Yes.
stores that are franchised, and that would be a great collaboration?
They already
for you guys.
want it.
Perfect.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you very much. But yes, and they definitely want the product. But most of these companies, I mean, all of them say, yes, we're ready. We want it. We want to run it in our store. But until you have the actual product, there's not much you can do about it except have the excitement. Yes.
It sounds like you got a lot of distribution channels, but how many are you going to be able to manufacture and make each week, month, day?
Great question. This is how you can answer that. You always have to have plan A and plan B in business. All right. Also, you can't just go with a direct line. So we've got a manufacturer right now that is large enough to where they'll start producing what we need. But they say that we can make 500,000 units in a year, if not more. They will, if we have to go to some other manufacturer, the molds that we have made, we can have 2 of them made, and then they'll start production based on what we need. So we have plan B if we believe we're going to have more than 500,000 units sold a year. So yes, that's our plan. I was going to say something, but ping pong balls. Okay, any more?
All right, Mr. Prince.
So really kind of a two-part question. You said $2.2 billion was the annual sales nationwide, and it seemed like you were conflating seed with feeders as well. Or is that just feeders?
No, that's
That's the industry. So that's bird baths, that's seed, that's
They guesstimate there's in 2015, and they say it goes up. You have to research what you're. If you're going to sell a bar of soap, you got to know how many people are buying your soap, why your soap's better. So we researched, and bird feeders and things like that are starting to become more environmentally known, so more studies are done on it. I think in 2015, it was 52.2 million bird feeders are sold a year.
Wow.
All right, that's a lot. So we just needed to know that because there's no reason, even with a great idea, if you got nowhere to put it or nowhere to sell it, I'm sorry, it's just not going to work unless you want to give it to your friends. But all right.
And we do have a question coming from our live feed.
Yeah. Did you?
How much money do you need to roll it out?
Okay, right now we've got people in the royalty program already. So we're talking for the molds, $130,000. That is that. We want to get them made in the United States. We probably cut them in half in China, but we also don't want the product stolen in China because they'll make two molds, one for themselves and one for us. And just to give a little people that also something I learned, I keep going here, but if you're in the business and you want to get a patent, forget about getting an international patent, okay? Because law states that if China was to steal it, they could ship it over here and sell it, and you could sue them. But by 200 years, you're never going to get that product off the market. So I say, do not waste your money on an international patent, unless you're huge like Amazon or something. You have the attorneys. I'm trying to give advice at the same time because I almost made that mistake.
All right, we're going to do one last question before we get you off of those bright lights. So from our Facebook Live, we have, are you connecting with organizations such as the Audubon Society to market this or endorse the product?
We've reached out to Cornell, the ornithology department, and we haven't, yes, yeah. We, I think it's the Merlin app, we've got the Merlin app. So yeah, we've had communications with them. So we are active in the Bird Society.
If I could also pitch that the College of Coastal Georgia has a wonderful ecology program, and we love birds,
Okay.
and we want to feed birds. So I wish if you want to reach out to our local college,
Great.
You have a customer.
I can help.
Okay, great. Okay, so yes, we also love squirrels. You know, we're not against squirrels. We want the squirrels to do their job, you know, which is plant forests. So yes.
I think you had something planned for me, right?
Yes, we had a question and answer. So
Let me,
Go ahead, it's Terri.
all right, it's very important to environment for birds. All right, even if you don't watch them or anything, they are so important to our environment. Yes, okay, what's the question? All right, does anybody know what our website is? Yes, we.
Can you think of another one?
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, number 2. How many squirrel-proof bird feeders are out there?
Well, one.
There'll be one.
All right, final
Okay.
question before our halftime.
Go ahead. You have any questions?
I don't have one.
Oh, well, let's give this to the person that
Okay.
that
There you go.
allows us to be
Squirrel.
present. All right, I'm sorry for wording. Okay, there are pens up here, stickers, and also some information. And up here, if you would like to know anything or about our company, that's okay.
Well, thank you so much. Art and Terri are now officially members of the 1 Million Cups family from the Kaufman Foundation. So thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 5-minute break, and then when we return, we will have some words from our chamber, and then our next guest, the Melanin Makers Market.